Beginning in September of 1989, Heckler & Koch began a new project primarily focused on the U.S. commercial and law enforcement markets. This gun would be a big change for H&K because it was their first use of the polymer frame and a brand new trigger system like no other in the world then or even today. By 1991, this gun was out in prototype form. It went through extensive testing and training by many organizations, including the U.S. Special Operations Command, or U.S. SOCOM. By 1993, this gun was put into production and since has become loved by law enforcement and gun enthusiasts worldwide. Today, we feature the Heckler & Koch USP Series Pistols, right here on Brass and Steel Online Gun Magazine.
Welcome to the all-new Brass and Steel Online Gun Magazine, a forum to learn about firearms and industry news, a place to enjoy our freedoms as Americans who have been given the right to possess and use guns. It's now time for Brass and Steel with your host, Todd Cotta.
Thank you for watching Brass and Steel Online Gun Magazine. I am Todd Cotta, and I tell you what, I'm thankful that you are here today, and I hope you enjoyed today's little journey into the H&K USP. Well, why am I doing the H&K USP? Well, I was asked. Whenever you do an online gun magazine such as this, things start to happen. People you don't even know start talking to you, sending you emails. People that you know all of a sudden become very interested in what you're doing. And I was given an opportunity to test out two firearms. The H&K USP 45 Variant 1 and the Compact 40 H&K LEM. That's what we're going to talk about today. H&K, what is H&K? H&K is a company that we talked about earlier. They've been around for 110 years. They have great guns, but they mainly specifically work on rifles in the past. They've worked on long guns in the past, and like the MP5s, which are a blast to shoot. But that's what their main purpose was for a long time. When they started coming into the new age of the polymer gun, they really wanted to make it right. And then that's what we talked about with SOCOM and all the development and all those things. But what sets them apart from most other guns is a couple different things. Number one is their recoil system. And number two is their trigger system. Their trigger system is something else. 10 different, what they call variants of a trigger system. Now, the gun itself has 54 parts in it, total parts. Compare that to a Glock with 34 parts or a M&P that has 39 parts, then that's fine. If you are a person that is concerned about a lot of parts, then this is probably not one of the guns you're looking at, because some people believe more parts, more problems, more apt for problems and stuff like that. Also, the gun itself, although it's a great gun, is a little more expensive than your average gun. I would put it in the price range of what a Sig Sauer would be, or those kinds of guns. But the thing that sets it apart the most is this trigger system. 10 different variations of how to pull a trigger. The only other company that does even something close is the Beretta PX4 Storm series with 3 different trigger systems. So this is something that sets them apart from everybody else and what intrigued me so much. So what we're going to talk about today is these 10 different variations of triggers. I have some pictures to go along with it. So here we go. Variant number 1. Variant 1 allows the owner to carry the pistol cocked and locked with the manual safety engaged and has a decocker. Variant 2 is the exact same thing but left-handed. Variant 3 and 4 is the left and right versions similar to the Variant 1 but is a decocking only gun with no safety. Variant 5 and 6 are double action only with a safety lever. They do not have a decocker because it's never cocked. It is a double action only pistol. Variant 7 is a double action only with no control levers at all. Now Variant 8 is a very interesting one because they made a Variant 8 but then made no parts for the Variant 8, so it means nothing at all. Variants 9 and 10 are double action, single action safety levers, but no decocking device on the gun, left or right. Finally, the LEM, L-E-M, or the Law Enforcement Modification Trigger. The law enforcement modification trigger is a double action only with a preloaded trigger and a shaved hammer. The preloaded trigger and the shaved hammer makes it very, very unique, and in just a second when we shoot them, you will see the guns look very similar. The H&K pistol, this is a variant 1 H&K, full-sized 45. When we go, you'll see right here, there's no controls at all on the right side of the gun. This is a right-handed gun. If you look at the other side of the gun, there's your controls. This one has a safety and a decocker on the gun. The other gun we're going to have is going to have a shaved hammer, and it's not going to have any controls at all. In the picture I'm showing you right now, this is what the inside of the guns look like. You'll see one has a metallic piece. The second one has nothing at all. The one with nothing at all is the LEM trigger, the L-E-M trigger. So we're going to get out right now and we're going to go through, shoot those guns, and give you a chance to see exactly how those triggers work. Now the best part of the show, it's time to shoot. Yeah, here we go. Full-sized HK USP 45. This one has variant 1 trigger. Notice the controls are on the left, no controls on the right. But you notice it's already set up for controls on the right with this little dash, so you can put it on this side if you're a lefty. We already showed you the inside of the gun, but it has the little pieces of steel right inside there that make this configuration what it is. Once again, one of the issues that we see with these guns, and one of the complaints about the gun, is this right here. This little tiny triangle. That is your mag release. Most American style or non-European guns have a button right about here. I will tell you that on my M&P, it is on the left side and not on the right. On my XDM, there's a big button right there. I can hit it with my thumb. This one here, the magazine release, I can't even touch on this gun with my hand. And I mean, I have pretty good sized hands. So you either have to come across with your index finger or with your thumb and readjust your hand to pop the magazine out. To me, either the Europeans got really long fingers out there, or this is probably one of the weakest parts of this gun. Quality-wise, no complaints whatsoever. Good feel in the hand, great texture on the grip of the gun right here on the stock here. Great gun. Let's shoot it right now and see what we got. Well, it kicks a little bit more than I'm used to. I mean, they say that there's a 30% recoil reduction on these guns, and I don't see it. I just finished my review of the XDM 3.8 45, and it kicks less than this big guy does right here. Feels like, now the trigger is something else, but this recoil reduction they talk about with H&K, I just don't see it. But maybe it's just me. Trigger, phenomenal. The way this gun is set up is fantastic. When you're looking at a high-end gun, this defines what a high-end gun is. The HK USP 45. Okay, we just got done shooting the 45 caliber USP with the variant 1 trigger. This is the compact 40 with the LEM trigger. Notice, no decocker, no safety on either side. Notice shaved hammer also on this one. Notice that it's got the exact same little tiny magazine release that we had on the last gun. And even in the compact gun, my thumb, and I have large hands, barely touches it. Now you can come on the backside here and push it with your index finger down, but that's if you're thinking about it, and that's those micro movements you really don't want when you're combat shooting. You want big, fat movements. The little things you can't do when everything's hitting the fan. What we're going to shoot today now is the LEM trigger. I want to show you something here. On the LEM trigger, when it is not loaded, the trigger pull is like 20 pounds. But when it's cocked and ready to shoot, it's a very, very light trigger. And you can see how the hammer freely moves right here, right up to the point where it breaks, and then it goes off. This gun is meant to be carried locked and cocked. It will be much more difficult if you could possibly put a round in with the hammer all the way forward. Right now, here we go. This is the 40 caliber USP compact with the LEM trigger. See now, the hammer is back about a quarter to an eighth of an inch. So let's do this. There it is, empty. Great smooth shooting gun. Seems to have a lot more control than that 45 we just shot. I understand it's not a 45, but for a compact, we're going to talk about its size in just a minute when we compare it directly against my own Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. Comparable? Absolutely. Trigger system? Fantastic for this gun. Well, there you have it. Both the H&K variant 1 5-inch 45 and the compact 40 with the LEM trigger. I hope you enjoyed those, but I want to make a point. Why would you buy an HK gun? What kind of buyer would that be? When you look at it from a financial perspective, for a gun that you're going to be using for sport shooting or whatever, that's fine. If you like the gun, then go buy it. But just know that an HK runs between $950 and $1,200 depending on the configuration you buy it at. When you compare that with other polymer guns in the market, they are about half that price, maybe about 60% of that price. So when you like to compare it directly from the HK to like the M&P models from Smith & Wesson, you're looking at about 50% of the price with what I feel not much difference in quality, except I will say that the H&K trigger is a much better trigger system. But the gun as a whole, for value, you can almost buy 2 M&Ps for the price of 1 HK. Now I have a picture here of my M&P 40C. Now don't look at the trigger. The M&P 40C on the picture has a Apex trigger, and we're going to be doing a show on the Apex trigger here in just a little bit, because I really do think that if you have an M&P and you enjoy sport shooting with it or whatever else with that trigger, you'll see. What I want you to see is the difference between a compact 40, HK, and M&P. Size-wise, they're almost the same when it comes to the overall size. The Smith & Wesson is a little thinner, and the grip is a little smaller than what you have on the HK. So if you're looking for a concealed carry, the Smith & Wesson would probably be a little better choice because it's less blocky and it's a little smaller overall. But for what you need to carry, they're about the same. So if you're a HK fan and you want a great gun, fantastic. But just know that there is options out there. Coming up, we're going to do a video on the M&P line of guns. The M&P 40C versus the M&P 40C Apex. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. It'll be a chance for you guys to see what small modifications to a gun can do to improve your accuracy and your shooting. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed today's adventure into the H&K USP. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I certainly hope that you've learned a little bit more about the trigger systems and what H&K has brought to the market. A very excellent firearm. Thank you for watching Brass and Steel Online Gun Magazine.